the city.
네.
If you look to your right, you can see one of the most iconic landmarks of Paris,
아,
the Notre Dame,
저 여기
which is where we
알아요.
go now, and we are going to use these electric bicycles to get
아, 저
there.
여기 알아요. 저 여기 알아요. 저 여기
E-bikes are a great
백화점
way
여기
to
옆에.
discover the city. since
자전거
they
탄다고요?
allow you to
저
cover
자전거
a lot of
없는데?
ground
See you later.
without
저
using
자전거 없는데?
The most famous Gothic cathedral
난-
of the Middle Ages and distinguished for its
나는-
size, antiquity, and architectural interest.
아, 노트르담,
the
노트르담
Notre
여러분.
Dame de Paris. It lies at the eastern end of the Ile de la Cité, in the
오.
heart of Paris. The Notre Dame
여러분도
Cathedral
노트르담 지금
suffered damage
보여요?
on several occasions during its long history. The most
어,
devastating
안녕하세요.
one happens to be the most recent.
여름이네.
During a restoration campaign in
좋다.
2019, a fire broke
날씨
out in the
좋네. 저도
cathedral's
사진
attic, and
찍을래요.
a massive blaze destroyed most of the roof as
다른 데
well as
가면
some
가면 안 돼요. 저
important
다 봤는데
ornaments,
이제.
and it
아,
may take
들어가지
decades
못하네.
before the
공사해가지고.
cathedral is completely
다음,
restored.
다음. 어. 아, 여기 퐁피두네. 퐁피두
Centre
센터.
Pompidou is a 20th century
아, 저
architectural
퐁피두
marvel
좋아해요.
with a very distinct and recognizable look.
퐁피두
It is home to the National Museum of
좋지.
Modern Art, and it's internationally renowned for its 20th and 21st century architecture.
아, 좋아요,
Works
좋아요.
of
그다음
iconic
어디죠? 근데
artists
안에
are
퐁피두 안에
displayed
보여줘야죠. 여기만
chronologically
보여줘요.
from
왜?
Matisse and Picasso to Andy Warhol and Niche Kapoor.
님들 보여요? 아, 나 얼굴이 안 보이는구나. 잠깐만.
After visiting this famous art museum, you can stop
캠,
by
아, 근데
the
캠
magnificent
어딨는지 모르겠네.
Stravinsky fountain nearby and admire its various black and multicolored mechanical sculptures. Afterwards, you could go for a drink on one of the
근데
many
보이죠?
local cafe terraces in the Beaubourg area.
어떻게 없애?
Between Saint-Germain-des-Prés and the Latin Quarter lies the Jardin du Luxembourg.
아, 여기
The gardens were
믹상프로
inspired by the
공원이네요.
Boboli Gardens in Florence
아,
and
여기 말고
created
호수 쪽
upon the
예쁜데?
initiative of Queen Marie de Medici, mother of King Louis
날씨
XIII,
완전
in
좋아.
1612.
와, 이거 해온 것 같다.
The gardens cover 25 hectares of land and are
이
split
의자,
into French
그
and
쇼핑몰
English.
가보면 이 의자 앉아가지고
At
사진
the
찍고
center
엄청
of the
많잖아요.
gardens
근데
lies
여러분
the
의자
Palais
보여요?
de
저 의자?
Luxembourg.
의자
Let's take
보여?
a closer look. The
와,
Luxembourg Palace was originally
여기야,
built
여기.
to be the royal
이
residence
호수.
of the regent Marie de Medici. After the revolution, it was refashioned into a legislative building and
좋다,
subsequently
날씨.
greatly
파란보다
enlarged
하늘.
and remodeled. Since 1958, it has been the seat
내가
of the
보는 데가
Senate of
여러분도
the Fifth
보여요?
Republic,
그러면은?
France's current
아, 제가
republic
보는 거 다
system of
보여요?
government.
오.
Right now we are in Paris's main business district, La Défense.
네.
And although it's probably not on every
아,
tourist itinerary, if you
La
are into
Défense.
architecture, it's
여기 안
definitely worth a
가봤어요.
visit. Just look around you.
아까
and marvel.
자전거 타고 도망가시던데?
Same
좋아요?
with all
혼자 자전거
buildings.
타고 도망가니까 좋냐?
There's one building in
좋냐고.
particular here that
좋냐고.
attracts the most attention these days,
좋냐고.
and that's where we're going next.
렐름 이제 방
La
전체를
Grande
그린
Arche de la
스크린
Défense,
하시는
also
것만
called
남았네요.
La Grande
이게
Arche de la
개선문.
Fraternité,
이제 원래 알던
Brotherhood,
개선
is a
말고
building
뉴
and now a
버전으로
monument
미래
in
버전
the center of
개선문이
La Défense,
라데팡스
in the commune
이거거든요.
of Puteaux, to the west of the city.
네, 여기 안
It
가봤어요.
is
이거 말고
usually
볼 게
referred to
없어가지고
simply as La Grande
딱
Arche.
봐도 그냥 황량해 보이죠?
Let's see what the
보러
view is
뭐하러
like
가?
from
멀어
those
여기.
stairs.
라데팡스. 와, 오!
It is said that the Notre Dame
여기 앉을 수 있을 것 같아,
Cathedral,
뭔가,
not
이렇게.
the smallest of buildings,
오!
fits into this open central space in its entirety.
아,
A 360 feet high cube, La Grande Arche is part of the perspective from the
여기
Louvre
재미없어요.
to
다른 데
the Arc de
갈래요.
Triomphe,
야.
which you can see all the
다른 데
way in the
가자고.
distance if you look closely.
다른 데 가자고, 다른 데.
Now for a much older structure.
재미없어, 여기.
The Pantheon, also
Ah,
known as the Temple of the French
Pantheon!
Nation. It was constructed
Pantheon
under the command
가봤어요.
of King Louis XV, who wanted to glorify his
들어가나요,
monarchy by building this church dedicated to Saint Genevieve, the patron
오,
of
뒤에도
Paris.
있어.
After the 1789 revolution, the name
뭐해?
changed to the Temple of Great
뭐야, 듣고
Men.
있냐?
And in the 19th
야,
century, the turbulent
듣고
19th
있냐고.
century, its role alternated between religious and patriotic.
오, 이렇게 사람이 없지,
Since
근데?
1885,
평일인가?
the year that Victor Hugo, one of France's greatest writers,
아침인가?
was buried in the Pantheon, it has become the last resting place for other great writers, scientists, generals, churchmen, and politicians who have made the history of France.
여러분 이렇게 하면 여러분도
Built in
빨간색으로
the
보여요?
17th
하면?
century
여러분 안
with
보이겠지?
foundations dating back to the 12th century, the Église Saint-Sulpice is one
와.
of the biggest churches in Paris. It is located in the
여기예요?
heart of the 6th arrondissement in the Saint-Germain-des-Prés district.
예쁘네. 와 분수 완전 커요,
Admire the
여러분.
beautiful facade with its 2 recognizable towers. Fun fact, the Église Saint-Sulpice is one
배고파요.
of the
밥을 언제
sites
먹어요?
choice
저
for the film
배고파요.
adaptation of Da Vinci Code.
햄버거 먹으러 가요, 가이드님. 우리 햄버거
Through the heart
먹어요.
of the city flows this mighty river Seine,
Ah!
which borders 10 out of 20 of Paris'
여기 그거예요,
districts.
여러분.
There are 32 bridges in Paris that cross this river, some of
막
them more
자물쇠도
impressive
걸어놓고
than others.
그러는데 이제 자물쇠 이제 못
Pont
걸걸?
Neuf, which we are standing on right
이거
now, has
낙서해놨어.
been immortalized by artists, poets, and
오,
even
오,
20th century
식당.
films.
저기서 밥
The
먹나요,
name
우리?
Pont Neuf, the ninth bridge, was given to distinguish it from older bridges, and it has remained
밥
after
먹으러
all the
갑시다.
older ones
배고파요.
have been replaced.
오, 여기
It's
갈 수
now
있을
the
것 같아.
oldest
근데
bridge in
가면 안
Paris,
돼.
crossing the Seine.
가면 안 되는데 이거 왜 이렇게 많아? 와,
The riverbanks are worth exploring. There are floating restaurants, discos, cafes, and free benches for all those travelers who are just as happy to enjoy a nice view with their own wine, bread,
저희는
and
밥 언제
cheese
먹냐고요?
from a local grocery.
유람선 간다, 유람선.
This spot, close to
뭐
Pont
먹어요?
Neuf, appears to be a favorite
같이
place for
먹어요.
locals to hang out and enjoy the sunset.
같이 먹어. 야, 맛있냐? 혼자 먹으니까?
The Pont des Arts, also known as Passerelle des
Ah,
Arts, is
해진다.
probably Paris's most
Oh.
famous pedestrian crossing. It was constructed around 1800 and it connects
이거 봐.
the Institut de France to the Louvre Museum.
님들,
The bridge was especially made
여기 앞에서
famous
사진
because of the
찍을게요. 저
tradition
사진
for young
찍어주세요.
lovers to hang padlocks on
아니 나 이
the
뒤로
bridge's
돌아가야
railing.
여기가 나오는
But in
거네.
2015, because of danger of collapse, the city municipality decided to
조용히 해.
remove the 700,000
오!
blocks hanging from the
이거
railing.
이거 유람선 아닌가? 이거
The
유람선 아닌 것
tradition to
같은데?
hang padlocks
위에가
on
막혀있네.
iron fence has been continued at a different location, as we will discover in the next part of this episode. With this sunset at the Louvre Museum, the world's
아!
largest art museum and
Louvre,
a central
Louvre.
landmark in Paris, the
얘들아,
first part of this episode
다
has
못 봐
come
이거
to
다리
an end.
아파가지고. 와
We
이거.
hope you've enjoyed it so far. Please stay tuned for part 2, in which we will see the Sacré-Cœur, the Arc de
저
Triomphe,
여기 가가지고
the Eiffel
혼자
Tower, and
가가지고
much more.
닭고기 세트 먹었어요.
Thanks
닭고기
for
세트.
watching,
닭다리
and don't
세트.
forget to subscribe to our channel.
오 사람 많다. 아닌가? 적은 건가? 아 밥을 안 먹네. 밥을 안 먹어. 와 여기 어디지? 아 여기 용산이구나. 용산 같은데? 용산이네. 베이비 샤크 뚜뚜루뚜루 귀여운 뚜뚜루뚜루 받았어. 여기 애가 땡깡 부려 사달라고. 뚜뚜루뚜루 알바생. 안녕하세요. 오늘 핑크퐁 풍선을 구입하시면 로보카폴리 풍선을 하나 더 드리고 있는 그런 특급 행사를 하고 있고. 나 왜 이렇게 바닥이냐? 왜 이렇게 바닥이지? 나 뭐야? 아 내려놨구나. 특급 행사를 하고 있습니다. 날이면 날마다 오는 행사가 아니에요. 핑크퐁 풍선을 구매하시면 우리 자녀들이 얼마나 좋아할까요? 네 거기 가시는 네 핑크퐁 한번 보고 가세요. 예 핑크퐁 풍선이었습니다. 손님 뭐 찾으세요? 예? 뭐 밥집 찾으세요? 핑크퐁 풍선을 사고 밥을 먹으면 얼마나 더 기분이 좋을까요? 핑크퐁 풍선이 왔어요. 핑크퐁 다들 모르시는 분 없죠? 베이비 샤크 뚜뚜루뚜루 귀여운 뚜뚜루뚜루 받았어 뚜뚜루 뭐 찾으시게? 뭐 먹게? 스타벅스? 에이 핑크퐁 풍선이 스타벅스보다 더 가치가 있다. 우리 그만 치고 이거 어때요? 이거 이거 뭐지 이거? 고래인가? 고래 돈 내야지 돈을 안 내고 가져가 이래도 되는 거야. 이거 장사 이래도 되는 거야. 베이비 샤크 뚜뚜루뚜루 귀여운 뚜뚜루뚜루 받았어. 그만 치고 그거 만지면 안 돼요. 이딴 콘텐츠가 다 있어. 백상아리 정상아리.
See that school of fish?
와!
Follow it. It's good news. sharks are coming.
근데 이게 그 진짜 영상이 아니네 이거는. 그래픽인 것 같은데? 씨 뒤에 있어! 뒤에 있어! 와! 개 커.
Pretty close.
와, 개 큰데 여러분?
Amazing sensors.
와! 깜짝이야.
Picking up the tiny vibrations of those
와!
antennas.
그래픽 상어야 그래도.
That huge
그냥 상어로 갑자기 바뀌어버리시면은
vibrations.
너무 당황스럽네.
Muscles warm her blood.
씨발 뭐야? 더 커 이거 더 커.
3 years old before they're even able to breed. So
와,
they are hugely threatened by being caught as juveniles.
무서워.
As marine biologists, our research and study helps protect these
무서워.
incredible animals.
여기 있다. 와, 콧구멍 아파. 콧구멍쟁이.
Curiosity and adventure inspires us to discover
저머리.
and learn. Curioscope. What
그치요?
interests you?